We have some massive Cowboys injury updates on Tyler Guyton and Trevon Diggs' availability for this Thursday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll tell you the good news and the latest right here on Cowboys Digest. Welcome everybody, I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning in to today's show. Real quickly, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are not already. It's 100% free and we're giving you daily Cowboys content here on Cowboys Digest. Let's start with some good news today. Brian Schottenheimer in his press conference said that Trevon Diggs and Tyler Guyton are, quote, trending in the right way. Unlike past years, the Cowboys will fully practice today, and it serves as the day to figure out what the team is thinking injury status-wise. Now, this is obviously a big thing for the Dallas Cowboys because in past years, there has been a lot of injuries, especially going into week one. Whereas this year, it finally seems like the health is on the side of Dallas. Trevon Diggs and Tyler Guyton are the two biggest question marks, especially when we talk about starters. There's a question mark technically around Perrion Winfrey. However, his injury was more labeled as back tightness. Seems like he's on the field. He'll be fine. Guyton and Diggs, their availability, their injury status is the one we're going to be talking about, and specifically focusing in more on Guyton because today he had no brace on that right knee. Now, if you don't remember what exactly happened to Tyler Guyton, we go to a Cowboys press release here to kind of talk about it. When Tyler Guyton went down with a knee injury back in training camp, it looked as if the second-year left tackle could miss the entire season with what team doctors initially thought was a torn ACL. They continue on to say instead it was a bone fracture, and Guyton is now on track to play the season opener as he practiced in full at left tackle on Monday, which was the Thursday practice in normal week, 3 days before kickoff. If Guyton doesn't play, Nate Thomas will likely start and make his NFL debut, end quote. Tyler Guyton is a key part of this Cowboys offensive line, and when the initial injury reports came out that it was a torn ACL, there were NFL insiders like Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport calling this a huge blow to the Cowboys. So the fact of the matter is that he will be at least somewhat available to play on Thursday if things continue in the right direction. And that is going to be huge for the Cowboys. And we know how important the health and safety of Dak Prescott is. Here is a couple more tweets. This is something that Brian Schottenheimer said yesterday. He said things are, quote, trending toward Tyler Guyton playing in the season opener, per Brian Schottenheimer. He was a full participant in yesterday's practice, which again, as mentioned, that's the quote-unquote Thursday practice in a normal week. And then today, same thing, full participant, no pads, no brace, no nothing. He is looking like it will be a very good time to put him on the field, which if you go back to when those initial injury reports came out, the fact that we are sitting here and saying that Guyton is going to be able to play is honestly a tremendous miracle in some ways because it was fully out there that he had torn his ACL and that he was done for the season. The PFF grades aren't great, and you're probably looking at these or maybe thinking in some ways, why is Tyler Guyton so important? But I've seen a couple of comments. They understand. Tyler Guyton is a second-year guy out of Oklahoma. The growth was starting to show at the end of last season, and it's really hard for me to look at last season's stats and think or dive too much into them, just specifically on the fact that it was a 7-10 team. There were injuries all over the field. The vibes weren't there. The motivation wasn't there. It just was not a great season in really any light. So I'm not going to say that these PFF grades are indicative of how good of a player he is. However, I do want to make sure that these are improved, and we'll get PFF grades every single week and kind of see what exactly is it looking like for each and every player for the Dallas Cowboys. Still, for a rookie left tackle, these are not terrible grades. There's a 60.2 on that pass block, ranking him 81st out of 140 in tackles, about midway up, which if you're a rookie tackle, great one. You obviously want to be a little higher as a rookie, but that's okay. 49.4 on the overall grade, 115th. His run blocking is where his improvement needs to show. 116th out of 140 tackles. We'll have a very good indictment on him this Thursday when we see him play against Philadelphia Eagles. I expect that the Eagles are going to be all over Devontae Smith, that's their wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So a running game is going to be needed to allow CeeDee and George to open up. We're going to have to need Tyler Guyton to play well at that left tackle position. Also got some updates on Trevon Diggs. Seems like he's likely to play in the season opener on Thursday as well. He is a big piece of this defense, And with him and DaRon Bland at the cornerback position, you feel very, very confident. Not to say Kaiir Elam is not somebody that you trust. It's just more that Trevon and DaRon, when they're on the field together, which, by the way, people don't really realize, they have not been on the field much together in their careers due to injuries to either party in that situation. Last year, Trevon didn't perform too well coming off before the injury. Or coming off the injury, either way. 11 games, 2 interceptions, 1 yard, 35 solo tackles. Nothing really too crazy from him, but his PFF grades stand out a lot. He looks like he's going to be a pretty good helm at the defense. And we also got this, if you missed the show yesterday, Trevon Diggs spoke to the media and said that his timetable is to return to full participant, full everything, playing fully in every game. And he will be available for that part of the process no later than week 4. That's not to say that we might not see him on Thursday, but the ability of him being a full go, playing at every snap, doing everything that we can to win, and using him to every single ability is probably a little less likely, specifically with the injury designation. That will be his first official football game since a long time ago at this point. Same thing for Tyler Guyton. Since last season, he hasn't had an official football game. We go back to the depth chart here, kind of taking a look at a couple of different things. This should be all officially updated here. But the big thing, Tyler Guyton at that left tackle, mentioned Nate Thomas as the backup. He really, really impressed in training camp. He really impressed throughout the preseason as well. That's why Sadiq Charles and a couple other tackles were released, and Nate Thomas kind of jumped him in a lot of ways. And now if there is a time where Tyler Guyton decides, or the Cowboys decide that he is not ready to go come game time on Thursday, Nate Thomas will take over that role. Good news is, with the abilities we've seen from him in the preseason and training camp, it should be a pretty easy switch. Nothing really too much to figure out in that light. And with the rest of the offensive line looking pretty solid with Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, and Terrence Steele, you feel pretty confident that your left tackle, Nate Thomas or Guyton, whoever it ends up being, will be a formidable guy, and you can trust they'll come in. A little bit different, though, with Trevon Diggs and kind of going on with that. If you look at the quarterback depth chart right now, Trevon and Kaiir Elam are listed at the top quarterbacks with DaRon as the nickel back. That's what it will be, but there is a couple of guys who could jump in there and kind of take over at that cornerback position. You'd like to see Siobhan Revel Jr. on this depth chart, but he's not going to be available until week 4. So the options, I would think it's going to be C.J. Goodwin would be the one to step in and play that other cornerback role. They did sign Trezeguet Bridges, the Los Angeles Charger. Chance that he gets some game action. I think we'll see him a little bit. I don't know to what extent we'll see him, however. It's really just up to Trevon Diggs, the medical staff for the Dallas Cowboys, and ultimately feel of the game and whether or not it's going to be worth it to keep him out there for a certain amount of plays or a certain amount of snaps or however they best see fit. If you have DaRon Bland and if you have Trevon Diggs, you would love to have both of them out there, given that the Eagles are going to throw AJ Smith and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith at you. So you want to have your top tier quarterbacks both out there to cover those guys. But at the same time, the long-term success of the season is way more important than the first game of the year against, again, a rival, somebody you want to beat. But it's way more important to have this long-term success rather than get the win here and risk further injury to either one of Trevon Diggs or Tyler Guyton. However, the positive reports are out there. Seems like they're going to be available in some capacity on Thursday. If I would have to bet, there's probably going to be some sort of snap limit / maybe a point of like 1 series on, 1 series off type thing, where we could see Tyler Guyton play the first series, but then the second series it's Nate Thomas, and flip back and forth just to help. Now, you want your offensive lineman to stay whole, but it's not like he's the center. The center would be a lot more important to the keeping that eye with quarterback and Dak Prescott. So I think it's a little less important given it's the left tackle. At the same time, you want your starting out there, and you especially want him to grow as a player. That's the expectation for this season. Hope is he can do that. For Trevon, little less concerned just because I do like the backups in that way. I'd be a little, I don't know. It's hard. I think he's more available to play than probably we think, and the more and more I see him in training camp, he looks the part, looks like he's ready to go. But again, it's not a decision. It's really up to the Cowboys medical staff and the feel of Trevon Diggs. We'll have our official injury designation list put out, I believe, today or tomorrow. We'll get some content out on that as well, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, tuning in to check out what those injury designations are. If it's doubtful, if it's questionable, we'll let you know here on Cowboys Digest. So we appreciate you supporting us, watching us, whether it's liking, subscribing, or just tuning into the videos. We really do appreciate you. For our Cowboys question of the day, I want you to answer this. Who will be the first person to score a Cowboys touchdown in 2025? Is it going to be a Dak Prescott touchdown to, I keep saying Devontae Smith. He's not our team. CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens? Is it going to be a Javonte Williams rush? Who's going to score the first touchdown of the Cowboys 2025 season? That is our Cowboys question of the day. Go down there and let me know down in the comment section. For now, though, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out, guys.